Hello audience, Dennis Sytsma, Dennis John Sytsma Productions, Homestead, Florida, USA. It's February 16, 2026, 7:39 in the AM on the East Coast of the United States, Eastern Time. Going to carry on with the Astro project, improvement project. Working on trying to get that last electrical connector to go into the upper intake manifold sensor. It doesn't want to go for some reason. It occurred to me that maybe the pins are bent on the sensor, and if I have to, I can take the sensor out and straighten the pins and put it back in, but that's a lot of work. So I got this inexpensive Gogolux, G-O-G-O-L-U-X endoscope for like, I don't know, $65 online. And what it lets me do is it lets me carefully inspect the pins for damage or any obstructions, and I do see a little debris at the bottom, so I'll clean that out with a tiny pick or screwdriver and then try again. But the pins are not bent, and I see the shape of the connector is kind of like a weird, like a mushroom, upside down mushroom. Yeah, upside down mushroom is. And you see how handy this endoscope is. And I don't know, it has a handle here where you can move the perspective and cause the thing to articulate on you. That's the sensor there. Get it to move, the camera. And you can record. And it also has a adjustment for the light. You can turn the light down or to full brilliance to illuminate whatever you're looking at. So this Gogolux is a good investment, but don't forget to install the software or you'll think it doesn't work like I did. And I bought another one because I thought this one was broken, but it wasn't. I had failed to install the updated software. So audience, next segment. Okay, I'm still struggling to get this connector on. So to get better access and more room for my hand onto the sensor, I'm going to take this 16mm socket here, 16mm socket, and a short extension with a 1/2 inch, 3/8 drive, I think it is. And I'm going to remove this pulley to give me a straight access to the sensor with my hand, not bumping into everything. And if I have to, I'll remove the sensor with a deep well socket and then find out why it doesn't go to the connector and then reinstall the sensor. At least that's my plan, because I can't putz with this all day, and I'm burning daylight, as I like to say, burning daylight. I got to get this done. Okay, that pulley doesn't want to come off for some reason. Doesn't want to break loose. So I put the big 16mm deep well and a breaker bar and then move it out of the way so I have a straight shot to put my hand in there and plug in the connector. But it still doesn't want to budge. So got to go to plan B. Probably I'll see if I can loosen this here and get the whole arm to come off, and that'll give me a lot better access in case I need to replace the sensor or do something. But if plan A don't work, go to plan B. Next segment. Okay, audience, with a 13mm it came off quite easily and gives me now excellent access to get my hand in there and do the connector or pull the thermostat out if I need to and find out why it doesn't mate. But anyway, success. Now unfortunately this has a nut on the back that dropped off that I have to find down in the guts. Didn't go all the way and hit the plywood. That would hurt it go dunk. But I did hear it go tinkle tinkle, so I got to find that nut to put the arm back on. But I'm not going to deal with that right now. I got to get this connector on. ferret out what's wrong with that. I'll take some pictures too. So audience, next segment. Audience, I must have made some kind of mistake because I cannot get this upside down mushroom or mushroom shaped connector. See if I can get some light on here where you can see it. This connector the shape of it, it doesn't match. The shape of it does not match the only connector, because there's only 2 wire connectors coming out of this loom that I can find. One that goes to the IAC and has 3 wires and 3 pins. The only 2 wire connector is this one, and it doesn't have a upside down mushroom shape to it. So obviously I got the wrong sensor in the wrong hole, because there are 2 sensors on the engine. There's one on the driver's side for the head temperature. So I'll have to take a closer look at that connector to see if it mates with this and swap the sensors. I may have them wrong, and these are kind of mistakes you make when you swap an engine. Although I didn't do much with the intake manifold, but oh well. Now this endoscope will help me find that lost nut that fell behind the water pump, I think. And I did find a rodent head in this trap. This is a instant kill snap trap, and I didn't find the rest of the body, just the head. It chops the head off, and the rest of the body is missing. I assume that the other rodents ate the carcass, because I think rodents do that. If there's anybody in the audience that knows rodents, rats, let me know. But this kind of trap, I never had it work before. It takes quite a bit of force on the trigger to get it to go. Well, never mind. It's new upgrade, so this one might be strong, more sensitive trigger. And I'm searching for words here because I'm thinking about the coolant sensor at the same time. So, audience, next segment. Obviously, this problem needs more research from the service manual. The service manual shows the shape of every connector, and this is not an upside down mushroom. This is more of a flat with dog ears on both sides and a tab on the top, weather pack. So I have to look up in the luckily I have the 1994 service manuals. I bought the van new and I bought the service manuals at the same time, so I can ferret this out. Plus it can't be the wrong coolant swap, because the coolant sensor on the engine block is a single wire sensor. So I got 2 problems here. I got to buy another sensor, the correct one, for vehicle identification number W as in whiskey, because there is a difference, I think, between vehicle identification number W and vehicle identification number Zulu, Z or W. And I got to find that nut where it fell for the back side. But I'm glad I got the tensioner out of the way. That makes things a lot easier for me to work. And moving along to the... Oh, I already talked about the rodents. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm ruminating. Audience, next segment. Professional mechanics work on thousands and thousands of different cars, and people assume the professional mechanic or shop owner knows everything. But they're helped out by service literature such as online alldata.com, do-it-yourself, and mitchell1.com, do-it-yourself. But I have the factory service manuals to help me, and I'm pretty sure they sold me the wrong. I broke the old one by accident while working on the manifold. I was a little too rough with it. But here in the service manual, they have a diagram that shows all of the sensors as viewed from the mechanic's perspective. And here on this page somewhere we have the coolant sensor. Okay, and of course it shows us the computer, all the pinouts there. Now this is the electrical section, and this is for the VIN-Z engine. VIN-Z. And there's the coolant, engine coolant temperature sensor. Looks like that, but we need the intake temperature sensor. So that's not the one. We got to find the other one. Stand by. Okay, that's the CPI fuel injector. Is that one. And the CPI, let's see, engine coolant sensor, 2 wires, Metropack 150, looks like that. And that is kind of side by side, but no upside down mushroom, unless I'm mistaken. So I got to go to the auto parts store and take the old one with me and compare what they want to sell me for VIN-W whiskey, and that's the high performance version of the engine. And I don't see where they show an engine block coolant sensor, but I know there's one here. Now I'm looking in the section for VIN-W. This is 8A24-11 is the page. And if I flip through here, I'm looking for an engine block coolant sensor, and they don't call it that, and it's a single wire. That's an MAT sensor. I don't know what that is. I have to look that up to see what MAT is. And this is a NOx sensor. That's right next to coolant sensor on the block. That's a single wire. And okay, set timing connector. That ain't it. Okay. TCC switch. Fuel pump. Spend a lot of time doing research if you're lucky enough to have the service manual like I do. Alright, well, let's see the other one for the engine coolant on the block. I'll have to do more research, but you can compare what they're calling on the first page here of each for VIN-Z and VIN, what they call the engine coolant sensor. Looks like that for VIN-W. And flipping back to this other section, this is VIN-W and the other one is VIN-C. Let me find the page. Stand by. Okay, engine control, VIN-Z, 8A22-1. We go into the wiring, and really I think the factory manuals are better than the online stuff, although the online stuff presents the information a little bit better organized, I think, although the helm books are highly organized. But let's look at the VIN-Z. There's the engine coolant sensor for VIN-Z, and you see how similar they are. But that one definitely has the upside down, or right side up mushroom top. You can see it, and you see the clip there is on the left, and the mushroom top, if you turn your head to the right, you see the mushroom top. And the connector I have on the this is a VIN-Z sensor. Anybody need one? They're like 30 bucks now, 35 bucks for a coolant sensor. Crazy money, but oh well, what are you going to do? So I will carry on, but I'm going to not worry about the sensor and the tensioner right now because it's going to rain like heck. So I'm going to order a new sensor from probably AutoZone. They're the easiest one for me to get to, and and I'm going to compare with the online price at Amazon. But Amazon's cool because it lets you put in the VIN number and they automatically take you to the right sensor from the VIN number. And AutoZone does the same. So I like it. Advanced Auto does it, but it's not as good, in my opinion. And it's just Dennis's opinion. My battery's about to die. But anyway, I'm having fun, and it's going to start raining, so I'll start doing my video production stuff on the several days I've been working on this, trying to be consistent. But I have all these human interruptions like eating and sleeping. But audience, anything you like here, thumbs up. This is for enthusiasts, not for the general do-it-yourselfer. This is a documentary. I show you my mistakes and how to avoid making the same mistakes, like this sensor, getting the wrong one. Thanks for watching. Hello audience of automotive enthusiasts or people that want to learn the Astro van. The way I organize my computer is critical for me. With my short-term memory problems, I have to be organized. How I set things up in my computer. For one thing, the videos, I have a folder where I just put a date on the folder in the main directory for videos, and then I shove everything I do on a certain day into that folder, and then I create subfolders by project with the focus on my 1989 Beretta Success 200 improvement project would be one folder for that day. Another one would be my 1994 Chevy Astro van improvement project for that day. And the third one might be my Kohler Command 25 horse engine renewal project for that day. Or, my two Honda Civics for that day. And then in the subfolders from the main folder, which is the date, I then have other folders inside if necessary, such as the coolant sensor or the distributor or timing setup or whatever I'm trying to categorize in video and document. And the videos are mainly so I can remember what I did last, and I try to review every segment before I publish. Before I turn it into a production is a collection of segments, and edit out anything I don't want to say, or used audio ducting to mute the audio for a moment, or beep something out, would be audio ducting, if I have the terms right. I'm an amateur, and I'm self-taught. Plus what I see on the internet. So much for video organization. As far as automotive, I have a folder called Automotive on the Documents section of the computer. And inside Automotive, I have every vehicle that I have worked on in the past, or owned, or doing research on. So might be a 1964 Chevy Impala would be one folder, and then the VIN number. And then inside there would be subfolders of, engine block, crankshaft, whatever. I had a 64 Chevy Impala, and I can't believe I sold it and bought a Vega. But, I was young, and I was getting frustrated with spending so much time working on the Chevy Impala that I should have been studying in college. And I didn't want to have something I had to work on all the time, so I bought a Vega. And that burned more time than anything else, because I had to extensively modify the Vega to get it to run properly. And that's a whole separate video I might do one day, my Vega story. I love the car, it drove well. Or it was fun to drive, let me put it that way. And it was handy with the hatchback. But I also had a Chevy Nova 1960 station wagon, and that thing was very handy. we called it the breeze box, because you open all the windows and you drive to the Florida Keys on a nice day, and it was just a pleasant vehicle to drive. And we threw all the beach stuff in the back, or the fishing gear, and left Miami for the Keys, and it was great. Or if you, back in those days, there were places you could stop in the Florida Keys and snorkel right from US 1, from the main highway. I'm afraid those days are gone now. I feel fortunate that I lived here in those years, though, before it got so populated. But anyway, back to the documents. So I set up a folder for every vehicle, and then that way I can, and I set up a notes folder so I can keep notes on everything. So that said, let me show you a few more screens, what I do here, so I don't have to look it up over and over again, and so I don't forget. I do research once and then I have it. Let me pause the camera. Next segment. Then I set up a Word document for everything I research, and I put in part numbers and where I bought it, and by doing it in Word I can use it as a link. Now I can put in links so I can go back to the internet wherever I was looking, and this is how I save and recover my research, and then I can share it with other enthusiasts. I don't publish everything to the internet because I might have personally identifiable information, PIV, in there, so like the VIN number. So for those reasons I have separate documents. But with this software, I have a feature here where I can convert Word to an Adobe document, and then once it's in an Adobe document, I pay a subscription for a powerful version of Adobe. Then I can convert it to a picture, and then I can edit the picture to frame the material I want, and then I use the picture in my video productions. Now, if you want to see my pictures, go to the very end of my video productions. A production is a collection of segments with a introduction and a intro, like a countdown, and a end. So that's a production, would be a production, say, for one day, like today is February 16th, 2026. So I do video productions, and it's very researched and compartmentalized, so I don't have to reinvent the wheel every day, and I can use my past work. If I learn how to edit and add more features, like, you know, pointing finger, you know, like here is the sensor, or other enhancements, like if I say something wrong, I would say correction. That's what air traffic controllers do when they, correction, not runway to, correction to, he says, you know, depart 27 right, correction 27 left. That's, you know, been around air traffic controllers for years, and some of them were friends, but there were so many controllers you couldn't know all of them unless you were at a small facility. At the air traffic control centers, we just had massive numbers of people, but the security guards knew me because I'd give them avocados. So that said, let me get some work done. I'm just trying to explain my system to my audience that may include enthusiasts that want to do restorations. I don't recommend it. It's expensive, it's time consuming, and some parts you just can't find, so you have to fabricate locally or visit a lot of salvage yards, and I plan to do that. I hope to consistently improve this project van until I get it to the level I want it, and then quit and sell it. Or if I can't sell it for a good price once it gets through the body shop and all that, you know, if nobody will pay 15 grand, 20 grand for an Astro van that's been totally gone through, then, you know, I'll just have to keep it. or sell it at a loss and take it off as a farm expense, because it is a farm vehicle to haul my produce around, so, and to the packing house, if everything goes per plan. And I'm always teasing people about the angel of death waiting, and you know, depends if I could keep the angel of death away from me long enough, I might be able to do what I plan to do. And there's a segment in the Bible about that, where an old guy had worked hard all his life, and he decided he was going to do something and then just chill. And you know, it's the angel of death is going to visit you tonight, so don't make too many plans. But the angel of death is supposed to be benevolent with a B, benevolent, a friendly creature, a friendly character, a friendly whatever it is, the angel of death, a friendly angel that helps you transition from this world to the next. And people get all hung up about heaven and hell and purgatory, and just think about them as science fiction dimensions, and then it's more believable to the doubters. Are you a religious doubter? Well, I think everybody really is at some point, including Doubting Thomas, who was a disciple and a follower. But I think Thomas hung around just because he wanted to see what was going to happen. He thought Jesus was a cool guy. And if I met Jesus and heard that, oh man, he had such great teaching, and you couldn't help but be drawn to him like a magnet. He was charismatic, where the word comes from. Anyway, I've been talking a long time, but I hope you're liking what I'm saying. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I thought we were in a friendly conversation, and the person got really mean with me, you know, saying, why don't I shut up? Well, forgive me, but I'm only going to be live long enough till the angel of death visits, so I'm going to talk. And I love to collaborate, and I like to talk to fellow enthusiasts. But don't get mean with me if I talk too much, please. I'm a friendly person, and I want to be helpful and not aggravate you. So that said, let's move on. Next segment, audience. I almost forgot. Audience, this is how I look on AutoZone. I put in my VIN number, and it automatically brings up VIN W, and it offers me a connector because, you know, to me the wiring to that connector is too short. So that's a bestseller, and I will add that on there. And the AC Delco connector is too expensive, so we will add, I'll buy the thing, and then I'll go back. Oh, I had something in my cart. Alright, so I'll go back because I want the sensor too. Alright, there's Duralast. And I like Duralast stuff. Anyway, I'm going to add that to the cart. And then I'll go to in-tour checkup. And before I check out, I'll see what's in the cart and pay for it. It'll be ready for me when I pick up, and I don't have to spend a lot of time talking to the agent saying VIN W, VIN Z, 1994, year, make, and model, and say, you know, all of these things I don't want to talk about because it takes time. And I much rather order online, and then they tell me when it arrives if they have to order it. But I order from the store in Homestead, so I have to make sure I'm on the right store. Yeah, Dixie Highway, Homestead. So people, this is my dentist system, and you don't have to do it the way I do it. You can do it any way you like, whatever works for you. But for years I tried to do videos, and I was so disorganized, and I'd forget where I put things, or it was in the wrong folder. And one day I'll show you, I will do a proper presentation on how I do a video production for a given day on a given subject without jumping all over the world. So people, thanks for watching, audience. I hope this is interesting. And if it's not, you know, post a comment and tell me how to improve. Thanks for watching. Hello, audience. Moving on. Since I need to go to town, into Homestead, to AutoZone on Dixie Highway, turned out they sell both the sensor and the connector as a pair. So since this is so short from the harness, it would make sense to cut this off and put on the new connector that goes for the vehicle identification number VIN-W sensor and be happy. Now, automotive wiring that's this old can be fragile. Actually, it's pretty durable if it's protected in a loom. And looms come in different sizes, so I have a wire loom collection here of various sizes and a specialty tape for securing wire looms. And okay, so as far as the air conditioning, that one got kind of toasty, but it's damaged the loom, not the wiring. So I will put a new loom over the old loom for the air conditioner and be happy using that diameter. I think that's like 3/8 inch, and it comes in different sizes, 1/2 inch, 3/4. But the interesting thing is the specialty tape that they use. Yeah, it's in here somewhere, the specialty tape for wrapping the looms with. And it's, you know, it's something that the automotive industry uses, or racers use, racing enthusiasts. So that said, I can't find the specialty tape. It's around here somewhere. I don't need it right now, but I will get it later. But since I don't want to go to town right now, I don't want to spend the time in traffic, I'll wait till the next time I'm on the dinner run to pick up. I'll continue work, but I'll work on the back side of the engine. I will fix the loom on the air conditioning compressor, which is 2 wires. I will do the timing, the base timing, the rough timing on the distributor, which basically just point the thing towards the red mark, because I haven't disturbed it. If I had disturbed it, I'd have to find TDC and do this. And I'll show you the Dennis way of finding TDC when working alone, but it's another, don't do this at home, but I'll show you how Dennis does it working solo. So I'll do the distributor, I'll do the air conditioner, and then I'll do the ignition system, all of the spark plugs, and then I'll work on the vacuum lines and make sure that everything is copacetic, and then I can move to the throttle cable and make sure everything is as it needs to be according to Hoyle. But I got to find that nut that dropped off the back of the tensioner. But when you replace the tensioner, it comes as an assembly like this with the spring and everything. And this bolt that holds it is probably a standard, that looks like a 10 millimeter dash 1.50, which is the coarse version of it. And so if I lost the nut, I could probably just use a sand. But boy, it still stinks in here. I know I got some rodent carcasses in here somewhere. It stinks. So I got to find, and I don't know, I probably won't find the rodent carcasses until I get everything out of here, and then I'll find it. But I want to clean it up on the interior anyway. So that said, audience, next segment. I need to elaborate a little more on the 1994 Project Astro van wiring. With a computer controlled powertrain control module and all the wiring and connectors, it's essential that you have good wiring and good connectors. And I like marine grade wire. But I just ordered a coolant sensor with the connector, so I'll take, I'm going to clip it off and make it a little bit longer wiring and protect it in a wire loom. Now, I really like this Red Wolf wiring harness tape, high temp wire loom, self-adhesive fabric. This is fantastic stuff. And in an engine compartment, if you use regular vinyl tape, it'll melt and come off and make a mess. But this stuff is made to do this, and it handles the high power. Now this is a 3/4 inch by 50 feet, and it's affordable. But I already have some somewhere in my supply shed, or supply tool shed, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, but I may order more if I can't find it, but I can find it. Now it comes in different manufacturers and different widths and different lengths, along with the wiring loom and the harness tape, automotive cloth tape, adhesive. So you can wrap it in a loom, cover it with the fabric, and then use the special tape, high temperature cloth tape. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You can do all of it to protect your wiring if you feel the urge. But I've already replaced the air conditioning compressor wire back to the main harness. Didn't replace everything, but I did do it back to the main harness. That's why I know, it got a little singed because I didn't have it routed well. I should have gone away from the exhaust manifold. But, at least I'm finding my mistakes and correcting them. And I don't know how I didn't get the right coolant sensor, because I thought I had everything connected properly the last time I did a test drive. And you can look back in my archives over a year ago. I had the engine running and ready for the street, and then the bolts broke off in the head, and I tried to drill them out and I messed up the head, and I had to replace the head. What a disaster. It took me another year to catch up, just to get back to where I almost am now. So I'll work on the AC compressor loom while the sun shines, and because I don't work at night that much. I like working during the daylight when the sun's out, and I can see better and get better organized. I get organized at night, or I run errands in the evening. But anyway, anyway, I said that way too many times. I'm an extemporaneous speaker, and I'm told I'm good at it, but I have so much trouble speaking now. My brain's getting old, and asthma and bronchitis don't help. But anyway, this is how Dennis does research for my projects. Many projects, not just the Astro van, everything. And once I do the research, I try to share it with my audience, like in my transmission group, 4L60E. And my research you'll find in the media and files section, along with videos on my YouTube channel for the transmission, 4L60E, 92 to 95 version. And my videos for my 1989 Beretta Success 200 boat, and also rebuilding my Kohler, or freshening I should say, it's not a rebuild, my 25 horse Kohler, so I don't have to buy a tractor. And I did a refrigerator repair too, refrigerator conked. I looked for a new one. It was like $1,800 for a standard refrigerator, and I found out it was just a start device. on the compressor, and that was $20 online. I looked up the part number, and then I looked on Amazon, and bingo bango, and you know, plugged right in, you know, and refrigerator's working again. I didn't have to bother with you know, between what I saved on my projects, you know, everybody criticizes me. They said, Dennis, you talk too much, or Dennis, you got all this old stuff. I'm like, yeah, but it's called cost avoidance, and I'm into cost avoidance. I don't want to spend, I don't mind spending money on essentials like gas for the car, parts to keep it in good nick and top performance, you know, food, good food. So anyway, sorry to drone on here, audience, but I'm just trying to explain my processes so you can replicate them if you're into restoration. Thanks for watching. Next segment, audience. Audience, in this segment, we're going to talk about the work I'm doing on the electrical wiring. In this case, this connector goes to the AC compressor. And without a good connection, the AC won't blow cold. However, I already did this once in the past, and it goes back to, it gets a little ratty when you get to the main harness. But for now, I'm just going to cover the old work with a new loom, because I'm pressed for time. I have got to get this vehicle into running status so I can do farm work with it in time for the harvest and get my black sapote to the packing house. But I'm very close, I think, to getting this to be a runner. But for now, I'm just going to throw a loom on the AC pair for the compressor. And if I'm having trouble with it, I'll replace the entire harness here, going back to where it comes into the main harness, which, like I say, the wiring's a little ratty the way it's done by General Motors, and the connector I'm not real happy with, so I cut out the connector and put in a you know, I did a Western Union twist, 2 wires twisted together and soldered them. And as far as these other sensors, the coolant sensor's a single wire, and the NOx sensor's a single wire, and you have to be aware of what sensor goes where. The NOx sensor goes in the head, and the coolant sensor goes in the block. So the coolant sensor is the lower, but the threads are the same, and it's easy to get them wrong. But while I'm in this area, I'll add the braces that are necessary for the air conditioning. I got one already. There's one over here that is not, I don't know if you can see it on camera or not, but there it is. That one's got to go to the manifold. So it's got to come down. I got the bolt tightened on the compressor, but I'll loosen that and then it'll swing right over and hit the mark on the intake. And then there's yet another bracket that I got to put on, and that's the one that everybody can't figure out where it goes. And to me, it's overkill what GM did, but I'm going to put it back the way GM did it. And so that's pretty much it for this segment. I want to finish up this work and connect that to the compressor, and then I'll continue work here in the back. I'll put on the fuel lines to the upper intake for supply and return, and I need to paint those again. The supply is red and return is yellow, and then I'll do the distributor. But I got to keep moving forward, but I also need to take frequent breaks. And I'm sorry if I don't have the camera where it needs to be sometimes, but I can't see it on the monitor very well. I highly recommend technicians use this dielectric grease on the weather pack connectors. It keeps the gasket supple and also will help seal out corrosion and water. and it's magic how this stuff works. And if you can't find this, there's also Dow silicone grease, and any home hardware store, Lowe's, Home Depot, Hardware, Ace Hardware, any of those will have plumber's silicone grease. It's similar stuff and will really help your wiring. Now, I'm not happy with the routing that I have on this lower hose for the power steering fluid, but if I pull this off, I'm going to lose all my fluid. But I do need to pull this loose sooner or later and reroute it, because I want to put this electrical harness behind it, because right now it's kind of binding, and I've already changed this motor because it failed, and the replacement cost was affordable compared to trying to put another board in it. Circuit boards fail in these things, and I wrote to NHTSA and told them why it failed, and they came out with a change. GM was forced to change their engineering after the NHTSA reports, not just from me but everybody, how these wiper motor boards were failing electronically. And you could get a new board for half the cost, but this one was so old, so many miles, that the gears failed internally. So I replaced the whole assembly some time back, and I should have videoed that, but I didn't. So I will carry on, and I'm almost to the point of plugging in the air conditioning compressor, but I have a conflict with the same hose that's bothering me for the other thing. So I'll kill 2 or 3 birds with one stone when I'm gonna have to get something to catch the oil that comes out of here, and then because you know, stuff's expensive, power steering fluid, or maybe I'll just replace it with new fluid. It would be the best bet anyway. You're supposed to change fluids like every so many years. Every 3 years I think is recommended, but I could be mistaken. If I'm mistaken, post a comment. Anyway, I'm enjoying working on this thing, and I don't know why. Everybody says, why do you enjoy doing this work? And I'm like, I don't know, it's just something I like to do. You know, why do painters paint? Why do sculptors sculpt? It's just something I feel happy doing, especially when the project matures and is not just a project, it turns into a running good machine again. And that's why I went with the reman engine. I didn't want to have a partial rebuild. I wanted a full reman engine in there. And I'm happy I did, but everybody says I should have gone with the V8, but that was more money, more time, and you know, I joke about the angel of death being around the corner, but you know, it's a real thing. You know, we just lost Robert Duvall today. I loved him as an actor. I don't know about his politics or as a human being, but as an actor I liked his work. Thanks for watching. Next segment. Audience, to extract the fluid from the power steering reservoir, I'm going to use this Built Tools pneumatic bleeder, power bleeder, to suck out the juice. 9073 is written on the box, and it's affordable online. Built Tools, and I like it. I bought a couple of these because, number one, they're affordable and works really well to remove hydraulic fluid, transmission fluid, anything you need to suck out of there. And it comes with a good thing for sucking in general, which is that one there, and then it's got another one for bleeding brakes. Then it's got a supply bottle for keeping the brake fluid at the right level while you're doing a power bleed. And it works, but you have to have a compressor to use it, and compressors are affordable. I don't like this one. This one makes so much noise. I should have spent a few bucks more and got the conventional compressor, not the oilless. The oilless is so loud, noisy, nasty noise. Don't like it. it agitates my nerves. But we'll suck out what's in the reservoir, and then I can pull this line off with an 8mm socket and reroute these lines to get them back to what I think the baseline engineering should be per General Motors. People that manufacture equipment go to great lengths to make sure they don't have to have a recall. So they go into fine detail to make sure that you're not tugging on cables or something's vibrating loose or what have you. So, next segment, audience. The instructions say I don't need any more than 40 psi to make this gizmo work. And the way it works, it uses air pressure to create a vacuum, if you can fathom that. Let's see if it's sucking. Sucking! Yeah, it's sucking. I should have let it get more air pressure, I guess, but this is a way I can not make a big mess. I could have used a gravity, but this is a little neater. See if it works. Ought to work. Worked last time. Maybe not enough pressure. Okay. Pressure, undue pressure with the cap off to let the... Alright, let's let it charge up some more, give it some real pressure. Audience, for some reason that refused to work, so I tried to siphon it with a big hose. That didn't work. So now I'm going to go back to the old-fashioned oil pump extractor, and I've used this in the past and it works, and it's very affordable online. It's not expensive. Oil pump extractor, oil pump, no part number on it or manufacturer, so you get what you get. So, and the best rodent trap I ever found is take a 5-gallon bucket and fill it half full of used motor oil and leave it. A rodent will try to take a drink thinking it's water, fall in and drown, and won't be able to get out of the bucket. And I've done that for years. Seems to work really well. So, but it's not as humane as the cut your head off instant kill, but it's probably as humane as poison. So, rodent bait. So let's get it out of here. And by the way, this was not an 8mm clamp, it was SAE, and I don't know the size, so I used a screwdriver. And to loosen it off there without ruining it, if you want to replace the hose with a new one, you can slit it with a razor. But if you want to reuse the hose, and I do, you just gently pry with a flat blade screwdriver around it until it wiggles off. So your choice how you want to do that. So anyway, next segment. Audience, that worked super nice. This thing is well worth the money I paid for it. I've only used it twice. The first time I was disappointed. I didn't like it. But now I like it because it works really well for this purpose. And you can see how well it works. You can see it pumping out, and you can feel it sucking in, and you can actually see it. See the fluid going into the container. And the input, the suck side is on the left. I need to put a label on there, an arrow pointing that way. And this is the output. It just connects to your battery. Very simple, and I like it. I like it a lot now. I like it a lot more. So audience, next segment. I keep my stuff in the original boxes with instructions for as long as I can stand, or until the box disintegrates. So if the angel of death visits me sooner than my plans are expected, my heirs or whoever acquires my property after I'm gone will know what it is and what it does, have instructions and all that. I resisted the urge to fill this up right away because this line is still in my way for plugging in the air conditioning compressor. I can't get my hand in there, it's too tight. So I'm going to pull that loose again. Now this is an SAE size, and I'll tell you later what it is. SAE, but I just use a regular screwdriver. And now that that's sucked out, I can put the cap back on so I don't lose it. I couldn't believe what they get for these parts if you lose them while working on something. It's incredibly expensive to replace a power steering reservoir cap, because most don't have a separate reservoir like this, like they do on this Astro van. But I like it. It works really well and makes it easier to get to the power steering pump to keep it topped off. But I do need to take this loose again and then get the connector plugged in, because I forgot to do that. And any excess oil I have, I save it for the rodent trap. But I need some more buckets from Lowe's or Home Depot or Harbor Freight. The 5-gallon buckets they sell are handy, and I use them up all the time for different things, to store parts or what have you. So anyway, audience, next segment. Okay, it's a 1/4-inch drive with a 1/4-inch socket for that clamp. The one above it has even a smaller size SAE for the what is that? Is that the pressure line? No, that's the return line from the power boost. Anyway, I need to find some of these things. Look those up online, because I got a clamp here and a clamp there, and they're both broken. The clamp there is sturdy, and I think I've got some of these in my supply house that would work. But if I want an exact replacement, I got to look up the part number and see if it's any available. But I kind of like how I have it now. I have this loom going behind the motor, behind the washer motor, and it's not hitting anything, which is why this is a loom is important to hold it up behind the motor. And I got this line going in front of the motor, and it was the other way around before I started. But anyway, I like to finish tightening these kind of clamps with a socket, because with a screwdriver that's okay for preliminary tightening, but you might stab your hand holding the clamp trying to tighten it dirt tight. So anyway, I got to run to AutoZone later and Burger King and get dinner and get that sensor so I can continue work tomorrow on the front of the engine. Now it's getting near sunset, but I don't want to quit. I want to keep going a little bit. So I'm going to start working on the back of the engine, on the fuel lines for the CPI. And I hope you're enjoying. This is entertainment, not a how-to, just entertainment. I make lots of mistakes, and I show you what I did wrong, like that fire burnt up my horn. It still works though. The alarm, I've got a Viper system on this van because I didn't like the system they installed in '94. It was a keyless entry with a key fob, and the Sniper Viper, V-I-P-E-R, was affordable, and yada yada yada. Now I did put some of this dielectric on the air conditioning connector, and it plugged in and it's free, and I'm going to use a few tie wraps to make sure that it stays away from the exhaust manifold when I'm done. But I am making pretty good progress for a day's work but I'm not done for today yet. I have more I want to do before I'd get a shower and go to town. So, audience, thumbs up. Thanks for watching.